Hello, hello, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. While you're joining in, please take a moment to introduce yourself. I think it'll be helpful if you can write your name, organization name, country where you are joining from. And just a quick reminder about the language accessibility. Today, in our webinar, we'll have live language interpretation available in 3 languages. Feel free to select your preferred language. In order to do so, you have to go at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and you should be seeing a globe sign or 3 dot where there's a more written there in that. So you need to click on there to have the language options. Okay. So what we'll be discussing today, what we'll be talking today, we'll be discussing, exploring together about our Addressing Root Causes initiative, which is a community-led initiative in South Asia. Today, we'll get an exciting opportunity to hear real stories of community-led transformation. We'll be hearing how building trust-based partnership between grassroots nonprofits, funders, and shifting power to local communities led to long-term sustainable results. And most importantly, we'll be hearing all this from the people who are driving this in the ground. So stay tuned on that note. Yes, in the chat, I see people are joining from all over the world. A warm welcome. People joining from Nepal, Bangladesh. Yes, warm welcome. So reminder once again, please feel free to select your preferred language. Today we have live language interpretation available in 3 languages, in English, Bangla, Hindi, and obviously English, Hindi, Bangla, so 3 languages. So before we start off, we have a really interesting icebreaker design for you. So we'll move ahead with this. Okay, so on the screen, you should be seeing a photo collage. You'll be seeing a couple of photos on your screen with number on it. So here's the instruction. What you need to do is you need to pick one photograph that seems most familiar to you, like something you might be seeing in your daily life. You pick that particular photo and write it in the chat. For me, for example, I am thinking of currently sunset number 4. Why? Because I'm currently joining from Bangladesh, and I recently, a couple of hours back, I experienced a very beautiful sunset, and the memory in my head of sunset is still fresh. So I'll pick the sunset photo and I'll write number 4 in the chat. So we'd love to hear what is for you in your case. Which image seems most familiar to you? Please let us know. I can see in the chat people are writing number 6, a beautiful city of Quebec. Number 4, as I said, sunset photo from a beautiful village from Bangladesh where one of our partners have been working with. Number 2, a mountain view from Nepal, particularly Dhading from Dhading district. One of our grantee partners have been working there. Someone says number 2. Yeah, number 2 is Dhading district, Nepal photograph. Number 4, beautiful sunset. Most of us can relate to number 4 and number 2. Number 1, obviously, a beautiful village where one of our partners has been working with indigenous communities. Number 4. Number 3 is a beautiful city of Kolkata. View of that. So yeah, so let me stop here, the icebreaker. I hope that you had some sort of fun to start with. To me, these photographs actually remind me of the places, villages, cities where our partners are based and they have been working with. So this photo reminds me of that. So let's get started with the major part of our discussion today. So before we get started, we thought it'll be helpful for the wider audience to have a little context about what we do at Global Fund for Children and how this AIRS initiative started. In order to give you a little bit of context and background, I'd like to invite my teammate Indrani to share a little bit of around that. Indrani, over to you.
Thank you, Nawaz. Hello, everyone, and warm welcome to all of you. I'm so happy you could join us for this meaningful conversation today. I am Indrani, Regional Co-Director for Asia at Global Fund for Children. It's truly a pleasure to be here today with our incredible panelists, partners, and colleagues joining from across South Asia and around the world. GFC envisions a world where every child grows up feeling safe, strong, and valued, empowered to reach their full potential. To achieve this vision, GFC works hand in hand with grassroots organizations that are deeply rooted in their local communities and context, who can best understand the realities children face every day. GFC serves as a partner, connector, and amplifier. It provides flexible funding that allows community based groups to respond to local needs as they evolve, capacity strengthening that helps them grow sustainably and enhance their impact, and global visibility that amplifies their voices and connects them to the wider networks of learning and influence. We believe that genuine trust in communities has the power to transform the way change happens. When funders and organizations place real confidence in local people, power naturally begins to shift. Trust allows communities to set their own priorities, draw on their unique strengths, and also lead efforts that create sustainable and meaningful impact. One of the most powerful expressions of GFC's approach is the Addressing Root Causes Initiative, in short, ARC. Through ARC, a cohort of community-based partners is engaging directly with their local communities to tackle complex and multifaceted issues such as generational poverty, restricted access to education, or forced migration, trafficking. In addition to address the root causes of exploitation, they are increasing the capacity of youth and communities to lead local interventions that reduce harm, as well as promoting children's rights and empowerment. Before we continue, I also want to mention an exciting opportunity about which Nawaz has also mentioned. We are hosting a learning tour in Kolkata, India from February 1st to 6th, 2026. This 5-day immersive experience will give you the chance to meet our ERC partners, to interact with them, witness their work firsthand, and truly understand what community-led means. If today's conversation inspires you to see their work up close, we would love to have you join us. In this chat, you will see where to find additional details and also the contact information. Initiative emerged from a initiative addressing trafficking and child labor in India. Over the course of the initiative, it had become evident that focusing on the issues that are visible, such as children being out of school, does not solve the root causes. Why the children are out of school? This could be the root cause or lead to lasting change. Communities with intimate knowledge of the root causes are best placed to address them. ARC is currently focused on strengthening community and youth-led actions in Bangladesh, India, and Nepal. It uses SALT and CLCP as participatory framework so that the GFC partners can be brought together and the communities also where they work. The acronym SALT stands for Stimulate, Appreciate, Listen, Learn, Team and Transfer, and CLCP is the Community Life Competence Process. SALT helps to shift the mindset and build an appreciative way of working, while CLCP provides the structured methodology that fosters collective leadership and guides communities how to reflect, learn, and take the collective action. At GFC, our role is to support partners in integrating the community-led approach within their existing program. This is not an external or outsourced process. Our partners are internalizing the methods and applying them within their communities. We walk alongside them in this journey, learning together and supporting each other as community-led change unfolds. We collaborated with Ubora, our MEL partner, to explore how GFC's community-led approach has created impact in Bangladesh. The study looked at the broader outcomes of the ERC initiative and the findings are quite inspiring. They show that the ERC strengthens communities from within. People start recognizing their own strengths, building confidence, and finding their own solutions to challenges. I will end up with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. The difference between what we do and what we are capable of doing would suffice to solve most of the world's problems. And that's what ERC is all about, helping communities realize their own potential to lead change. I would now like to invite Noemi to share some of the key findings and insights from the report. Welcome, Noemi.
Thank you, Indrani, and thanks for the invitation to be here today, sharing my learning from the Global Fund for Children and the ARC initiative in Bangladesh from that perspective of a male partner. We've been actually seeing and supporting in the systematization and the creation of the theory of change behind why all those transformative changes are happening. And I would like to share the inspiration we came up with, that what Indrani was just sharing and also now was, is from our perspective actually challenging colonial patterns of power, which are, in our opinion, behind some ways of working already for decades that are not creating the lasting changes that the IRC initiative is doing. So I would like to just briefly read for all of us to listen to some of the ideas of Oshi Kuriel when she says that too often the development reproduces colonial patterns of power by speaking for communities rather than listening to them. A genuinely transformative approach begins with humility, with listening as an act of respect that recognizes people's own capacity, wisdom, and right to shape their futures. Participation is not a tool of intervention, but a practice of solidarity and shared learning. Actually, Oshi Kuriel is also sometimes saying that cooperation and development or aid should be called reparation instead of cooperation because of all the historical responsibility. So Angela Davis also frames the same idea by saying that after acknowledging our eldership and elder wisdom, we need to own our listening skills and really tune in to what communities and young people want and need. This listening requires a level of humility. It reminds us that we are not the voice that needs to be centered and that we don't have all of the answers. And that is actually very similar to what we found as a part of the reflections of the partners of the ARC initiative, while saying we are not just implementing projects, we are listening, learning, and changing how we work based on what people tell us. This is part of the partners of the ARC initiative. So that's why we actually think this is the key aspect behind why is ARC working in this way, making a difference. So in the next slide, we can see we've been developing, as I said, theory of change of the initiative. And we started by understanding that is the process that is an overall process. We call that community-led change pathway that is actually affecting all the outcomes identified at different levels. So that's no need to maybe focus on one or another level, to focus on, partially supporting organizations or supporting community or cohort. Is about the process as a whole. And all of it starts from, like, changes start always from someone individually or collectively doing something different that ripples outwards to influence other things. No? So that's been very beautiful said by Drafunavi, well, saying that change begins small but multiplies to create a profound impact. So yeah, you can see briefly in the next slide that this is how that has been organized. There's a lot of work, maybe in another seminar we can explain that better, but those pathways have actually been influencing the ARC process, community-led change, and we have identified a lot of outcomes, like hundreds of high-level outcomes that, in my opinion, I'm working as an evaluator and as a consultant in the sense of always learning or organizational learning consultant, and more than 20 years. And in this initiative, I have to say that only, with less than 2 years, there've been a lot of lasting changes already occurring, of things that are very deep. And when we compare things that are maybe, in that context, affecting equity or affecting actually, as Indrani were highlighting, the root causes of harm that are not changing instead, and we see how in a small initiative something has actually created a change. It's because of the process. So if we can see the next slide, it's just to present briefly a framework of how those thousands of solved conversations that have been done at community level, at individual level, with organizations, with youth, because that has been, like a multiplying effect. The way of looking at things, the mind shift that has occurred, as Inani also has pointed out. Those outcomes were mainly responding to those sentences you can see here, that they are contributing to improve well-being and connectedness, and they are also bringing better equity and equality in life of people and opportunities. They have improved coexistence, social cohesion, and harmonious partnerships at all levels, driving change that matters. They have also create that people, organizations especially, and communities, they are working more together, more closely aligned. They are joining efforts and fostering systemic change. And there have been a lot of examples of reducing the root causes of exploitation and harm, and led by especially youth themselves. You will hear them later. I would like to just briefly remind one of those stories that was really touching for me. That was about very and somehow you could say is a simple initiative, because it's like taking all the wisdom from the grandmas, sharing the stories that are from the communities to their child, to their grandchilds. But narratives are so important in nowadays. We all know that a lot has to done with how do we explain things, and how we do, being able to make sense of what is happening, especially in this increase of the right-wing parties and extreme right parties. So in the narratives are key to also understand and where are our roots coming from. The stories, I remember also a project that was only mainly focused on rescuing the stories from Mozambique in that case, that were not written in Portuguese. So just rescuing, the traditional stories, the stories from the community, and making out of it a process which allows that kids can come out of the screens, that spend less time on the screens. And that was an amazing effort, an amazing success. And at the moment, I just heard that because of the success, they have created a library. I mean, that's just one example. There are hundreds of examples like this. Just would like to stop here and bring the voice to all the partners and to all the different panelists that will share them with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Noemi and Indrani as well. To give us a little bit of context, I hope it was helpful for everyone. It was helpful for me. So let's, without a further ado, let's get started. Here is a exciting group of panelists who are joined with us today. So today we have two grassroots nonprofit leaders from Bangladesh and one from India. With us today, we have two youth leaders who are working in a youth activist group. They're joining from a remote village in Bangladesh. Also with us today, we have one of our founders of ARC Initiative. Welcome, everyone. So in order to give you some time, like better time or like extended time to share your stories, I request you to introduce yourself when you will be kind of sharing your stories. I quickly introduce myself. On the panel, I know that most of you know me, but for the wider audience here, my name is Nawaz. I work as a South Asia Program Officer, and I'm based in Bangladesh, as I shared before. And I'd say I am lucky to get the opportunity to work closely with our grassroots partners from Bangladesh who are based in Bangladesh and across South Asia. So Sadia, I'd love to go ahead with you first, if that is okay with you. So Sadia, we know that you being one of the young women founders, and you are leading one of the grassroots organizations. I say that the organization is still at its early stages. So in that regard, I'm curious to hear your leadership journey so far with us. Like being associated with AR's initiative, how this experience influenced or reshaped your perspective on community development. By community, Sadia, I mean the villages where you have been working with. And are you seeing your community now has started to take ownership, I'd say greater ownership in solving or addressing many of their own challenges? Do you have any example from us to share that how your community has started taking ownership? That'd be wonderful, Sadia. Let me know if the question are clear to you. I'm sorry if there are too many questions for you.
Thank you, Nausbhai, for your very thoughtful question. Hello, everyone. I'm Sadia Jafrin, a youth women activist, founder of Grow Your Reader Foundation, a community-based nonprofit in Bangladesh, and a proud partner of the Global Fund for Children ARC initiative. So GIRF was founded with a vision to give every child access to diverse books. But early on, we discovered a very painful truth that many children couldn't actually read. So this made us ask deeper questions: that what good are books if a child can't read them at all. So over the years, we have developed a curriculum on reading, established mobile libraries, street libraries, digital libraries, and after-school programs, supported schools and trained teachers, all to make reading a joyful part of children's lives. And then in 2023, we partnered with GFC through the ARC initiative and began applying the SOL CLCP approach in Dashpur Gopalganj. So this approach didn't just change how GIRF worked, it reshaped how I personally think about social impact and sustainability. I started to realize that community are not problems to be fixed, but powerhouses of wisdom and solutions. And true development starts when people identify their own challenges and take ownership of solving them. So through the Solve CLCP approach, we listen to stories, trying to uncover their strength and appreciate their resilience. And instead of asking, what can GIRF give you? We try to facilitate the communities to ask themselves that what can I do? How can I solve my problem with my own strengths? So let me share a story that beautifully reflects this transformation. The story of Pahariapara, a small village in Raghunathpur, Moymanshing in Bangladesh. So about 18 months ago, a young man named Selim, and I believe that Selim Bhai has joined us today as an audience. Selim Bhai, please know that I am really honored to share the story of yours and your communities. And she reached out to us and asked us to visit their villages because they desperately needed a school. So when I arrived, I saw in Paharia Para, which consisting of 200 households, and every household one had a mud house. You can see in the slide as well. So reflecting the village's deep connection to its natural surroundings, cultural practices. However, over the time, many villagers have gradually abandoned these traditional mud houses in favor of more modern bricks construction or tin shed structure. They often use the old mud houses as purposes like barns, storage, kitchen, because they think that mud house is a symbol of poverty, which is very unfortunate. And one of the biggest challenges the community faces is the lack of schools. So there are only two very poor quality government primary schools serving the whole area, I mean the whole union, and children have to walk about 2 kilometers on muddy roads to get there. During rainy season, nobody can walk in this road, no transport can run here. So this is especially difficult for younger children whose parents are busy working at home or in the farmland. As a result, many children do not begin their school until they are 9 or 10 years old. So losing interest in education and contributing to a cycle of uneducated youth in this community. So you hardly find any graduates in this area. The literacy rate is only 20%. So the community had tried to build a school before, but they miserably failed because they couldn't sit together in a single place and come up with a single solution or a shared dream. So before learning the SOLVE approach or embracing it, we might or I might have done the same thing many NGOs do, like directly raise funds and build a school and give them a ready-made solution. But this time we did something very different. We sat with the community, not to give the solution or a action plan, but listen them very actively, very carefully, and very respectfully. We ask simple questions like, what are you proud of? What are your strengths? What makes your community unique? And slowly they began to see their strength within themselves. They reflected on their heritage, realizing the traditional mud houses, once seen as a sign of poverty, were actually sustainable, affordable, and perfectly suited to their community and their climate. They started to see their culture and craft not as something to hide, but something to celebrate like today in front of the whole world. So one 80 years old man, Gofur Chacha, became the heart of this journey because he was the last living master of these traditional mud constructions. So the youth of Pahariapara requested him and told him that Chacha, please teach us this skill because when you will die, our heritage will also die. So the Gofur Chacha taught them the skill with lots of care and love. So and the local family um, donated the land, and I believe that Shumon Bhai, who and his family donated the land, has also joined with us. Shumon Bhai, please know that I, Bro Your Reader, and the whole Pahariapara community are very grateful to you and your family. And they not only like donated, and also we partnered, make a partnership with the architectural firm Perceived, who co-designed the school alongside the community. And the community not only donated the land, but also donated mud, wood, bamboo, and manages utilities, while GIRF supported the food cost, labor cost, other suppliers like electricity, furniture, so through this shared responsibility, we reduce construction cost by 70%. And can you go to the next slide? And cut the carbon emission around 2,000 tons. And by blending traditional mud techniques with modern design, we safeguard the intangible heritage of Pahariapara community, and the classroom temperature dropped by 3 degrees centigrade and humidity decreased by 5%. So, but the school becomes more than a building, it becomes a symbol of pride, ownership, and resilience. So, we call the school Pahariapara Agamir School. The ceiling fan have hung in classroom for months without doors or windows, yet nothing had been stolen. Do you know why? Because nobody steals from their own houses. The Pahariapara community is protecting the school with their love, not with the logs. So my colleague Priya has shared a link I have written on this incident. If you have time, you can read the whole story. Thank you, Priya, for sharing. And we are not just with the construction and other thing. We are now practicing salt. Our teachers are being trained not just as educator but as salt facilitator, starting conversations, appreciating others, and building positive mindset. So approximately 70% of our school students are first generation learners from this area. So together with the community, we are co-creating a climate contextual educational curriculum rooted in community's value, inviting grandparents, parents, youth, and elders to share their wisdom so that learning truly belongs to everyone. So I want to end with the words of Selim Bhai. Next slide. I have lived in the village since my childhood. People often neglect us because they assume the village folks are useless and incapable of doing anything. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to GIRF and GFC for encouraging us to solve conversation, for helping us unite and believe that people can accomplish anything if they believe in themselves. And it's really true. I also believe that. So to me, this is the essence of community-led change. It's not about giving the answers. It's about asking the right question. It's about trust, appreciation, and belief in human potential. And that's what the ARC journey and SALT have taught me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadia. That's so powerful story. I can, I'm feeling goosebumps now currently, and I've been very emotional because I visited your school. Yeah, Sadia, I'll be asking another question. I don't know that is too much for you. So I know that you are aware that at Global Fund for Children, we bring together a group of grassroots organization under any initiative. We call them cohorts. So the idea is to kind of support that collaboration, co-creation, and learning from each other. So in your cohort, I mean, in ARC Bangladesh cohort, there are 6 grassroots partners, and you have been working really closely. So I'm also curious, can you please share your experience being part of this cohort, being part of this group, and has this experience being part of this group, anyway supported you in this journey in your development and growth, that'll be wonderful, Sadia.
Thank you again, Nausbhai. Like in our cohort, a total 6 organizations are part of Bangladesh ERC cohort. And in the beginning, we were just a normal cohort because we didn't know each other. I have been part of different cohorts on many platforms, but what makes Bangladesh ERC cohort unique is that we are united by a common dreams to see communities lead their own change and shape their own futures for more sustainable impact. So over the time, we become so close that we feel like a family. For example, uh, during political turmoil in Bangladesh last year, one of our partner directly affected by this incident, and we stayed in constant communications and offered each other mental support. So that I didn't see in any other cohort. To achieve our shared dreams of creating more impact in our communities, we work hand in hand, sharing knowledge, engaging in open and respectful discussions, and learning from each other's experience. Even our communities does the same. So sometimes our conversations are uncomfortable, but we have them anyway because we care deeply about each other and our communities. We never feel alone because we know we can always seek support from each other. That's why relationships within the cohort are so important. They give us strength. We even enjoy a bit of healthy competition, not to prove who is the best, but to inspire each other to do better for our communities. So this trust, collaboration, and shared purpose are what make the Bangladesh ERC cohort so powerful. This approach not has not only involved improved relationships in our cohort, it has also changed the way we work inside our organization, Grow Your Reader Foundation. Now we work like a family, we trust each other more. This trust gives us positive energy that helps us to enhance our productivity. We can openly point out mistakes to give suggestions to each other, and no one feels bad because we know everyone wants to support. This simple change, trusting, supporting, and learning from each other has made big difference to us, both in cohort and in our own organizations. Thank you, Nausbhai.
Thank you, Sadia. That's wonderful to hear from you all these stories and how cohort also contributed in your journey. So let's move on. I'd love to hear from Anuradha ji, Anuradha Bhosle, if you are there. So Didi, my question to you would be, we know that you, Avni organization being one of the longest standing grantee partner and under ARC initiative, obviously, and over the years you have built a very strong, I'd say strong trust-based relationship, and you have been receiving flexible funding from us. So I'd love to know how this flexible funding and trust-based relationships supported you. If that supported you, how has that impacted your work with your the way you have been working now with your community? Can you please elaborate on that? And if you have any story to share, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and good evening to all. I'm Anuradha from Avni organization. I'm the founder of Avni organization. And I'm extremely proud to be partnered with JFC and learning a lot, so many different things, especially SALT to JFC's cohort and different partners. I would like to share very important stories and experiences since last few years we had been experiencing here. So in 2019, Avni became partner with JFC, and JFC asked us what we would like to do. So when JFC approached us, we said we would like to do we would like to develop gender equality model, And in that, we would like to work with the boys specifically, first with boys and then with girls. And then we created a 16-week syllabus. We had module, and then we started working with the schools, uh, working with the boys how to treat the girls. Meantime, COVID came and we have to shift with the same group of children in the community. And few days later, when 15 years old girl got married off from the same community, and we, like she was also in part of our group, and we were shocked literally, and we didn't know what to do. But then, as a part of legal framework, we said we need to inform that to CWC, Child Welfare Committee. That it's a juvenile court, and Child Welfare Committee took the action. We were earlier not working with the community; we were just working with a group of children. Once the Child Welfare Committee took the action by taking away the girl and taking her for the counseling and all, immediately the whole community went against Avni. They said, "You don't step in." They came with stones and all to beat our people, and they said, "We don't want your any of your intervention. You don't work with our children." And I was literally traumatized. I didn't know what to do, but then I felt very safe and secure. After 2 days meditation, I felt like talking with Ritu, uh, GFC's representative, and I said, Ritu, this has happened and I am very restless. I want some inputs, and I cannot go ahead like that in the community. This has happened. And then Ritu immediately, she said, let's have a big Zoom meeting. We discussed, and then Ritu introduced us with why it is important to work in the community, with the community. And she realized that this program was designed by Avni. It was not community-based program. Then immediately, a few days, Ritu gave us a good training on salt. And then Avni started working with the community. We shifted to Nandwal village, where we started working with salt approach, and started talking with more people. People started ventilating themselves, expressing their sorrow, their grief, their happiness. And meantime, people in Nandwal village, they said, they started talking, expressing, and we learned through salt how to listen to people. Instead of imposing our thoughts, activities, we started listening to people through salt. And then people said there are 5 suicide in our villages. We would like to do something about that. And we became facilitator, and community took the initiative. They formed the village-led research committee, where children, ICDS workers, um, the different people, youths, middle-aged people, they came together and they said, let's find out the reason why young people are committing suicide. And they generated discussion, they did the formatting, they visited the different houses, and they came to the solution. Through the drama, they presented in front of village what is the reason why young people are committing suicide. So Avni was just with them, but because we took lot of salt visits, people started talking, expressing, learning, listening to others. That helped them to come together to find the solution. And that solution they put in front of the community through drama, and they saw the dream that we want happy village. And through that happy village, it was the community's dream. Community saw that dream. It was not Avni's dream. Avni didn't do any activity. The community thought of starting their traditional games. Some women started yoga classes. Some of them came together. First time in their history, mother-in-law and daughter-in-law came together to present Garbha. They removed all their barriers. Earlier, the suicide families, they were seen as a like stigma. But here, we saw in this process, they were ahead of everyone to conduct this activity. that they wanted to prevent further suicide, those who are depressed, those who are stressed out, those who have problems in the community. The community took initiative to solve those problems by coming together, interacting with each other, supporting each other. So tomorrow, even if Avni exit from the community, they will take care of each other. There will be support system. Earlier, there was no support system and there was stigma. But today, the whole community has come together to help each other. So this has happened only because of the SALT and ARC. Otherwise, Avni would have gone, conducted activity, project would have got over. But here we see the whole community itself, they are realizing the importance of being together and finding their own solution. And we see the result of SALT. As we said, the change begins very small, but then it multiplies. The same thing here, we see tremendous changes at individual level, at the group level, at the community level. So today I'm so proud to share that because GFC introduced to Avani salt technique, we are able to even take these to our other projects. Every of our worker is talking about salt now. They are taking this approach in all of their work. We are using salt with child welfare committee. We are using salt with police. We are using salt with farmers. So that is really making a lot of differences. First of all, I myself was not convinced for so many days. I had doubt. But once I saw the result, I said that this is it. I have to use this technique. And more than monitoring evaluation, we started giving importance to reflection. Same thing happened with the community. So I'm very happy to share this success, and we would like to really listen, learn from the community because they are the powerhouse and they have all the strength to change themselves.
Thank you, Didi. Thank you very much for this powerful story. And we're grateful that our flexible support and the relationship we built together was effective for you, and how your village are now stepping in, addressing the root causes of suicide issues, and they are heading towards building a happy village. So let's move on. Lakhikanto Dai, if you are there, I'd love to go with you next. So Dada, we know that your organization, Ethnic Community Development Organization, work closely with indigenous communities in Bangladesh, and with this initiative, AIRS initiative, you have been working with a Patro community. So Patro is one of the most endangered and one of the most vulnerable and endangered ethnic group exist in Bangladesh. So can you please share, Dada, your experience working with this Patro community, how that has been evolved so far since you become part of this AIRS initiative, and how has your communities responded so far to your efforts?
Thank you, Shahnaz bhai. And good evening, everyone. From Ethnic Community Development Organization, Bangladesh. I am Lakhikanto Singh, Executive Director at Ethnic Community Development Organization, ECDO. ECDO, I mean Ethnic Community Development Organization. In short, we call this ECDO. ECDO is the Indigenous Peoples Founded Organization, particularly working for the indigenous peoples in Sylhet region. And we are working with Patro, Tilabar, Manipuri, Khasi, Oro, etc. indigenous peoples in Sylhet region. You know that our ECDO is obtained United Nations special consultative status, ECOSOC status since 2016. And this is only the indigenous organization in Bangladesh who get this recognition. However, this recognition strengthened our voice and gave our people a space to hear both nationally and globally. However, among all indigenous groups, the T-Labor community and the Patro community is very much marginalized facing low literacy and poor economic situation, etc. Since since the inception of ACDO, we follow two well-known parts of the development activities. One is right-based approach, and second is service delivery approach. We educated people about their rights and support them access to government services. We also delivered support directly in education, health, and livelihood. This created progress, yes, but something was missing: true ownership by the community themselves. Development was being done for them, but not led by the community people. So it was the something problem, what I found. And then came a turning point in the last 2023, becoming partnership with the Global Fund for Children, GFC. Through GFC, we were introduced to a new and powerful philosophy in the development sector. I mean, the community-led approach. Its message was very simple, but very powerful, and it is life-changing. Local people are the best. Local people are the best experts on their own lives. They must decide what development means for them and how it should happen. And through this process, we have come to change something, and to bring this idea into children, into action. We began using two powerful tools, SALT and CLCP. The CLCP means Community Life Competence Process in the Patro and Tea Labor community. And here I will say about the Patro community. These tools encourage communities to reflect, to identify their hidden strength, and to dream together. Instead of asking, what do we don't have, they begin to ask, what do we already have? Their skills, their culture, their local resources, their solidarity, etc. When people start acting from their own dreams and energy, that's when we call it a community-led initiative. And the transformation has been remarkable. So after organized few short conversation, and we see that there was a spark among the Patro community, and they began identifying the challenges within their community, and together started organizing, recognizing their own strengths and local resources. And eventually, they envisioned a collective community dream and committed to bringing it to life in creative ways. One of the most significant elements of that shared dream was to revive the Patro language, and we know that Patro language is one of the very endangered language in indigenous language in Bangladesh. So they are taking to what I have to say. They are taking to they are taking to what I have to say, and to survive their language through composing songs and teaching that song to the young Patro generations. And one of the Patro indigenous women named Shamoli Patro started composing songs herself and teaching and teaching the and teach the Patra children. And by this way, they are trying to revive their language in their new generations. And through this process, now they are now the Patra children can sing their song through their own mother tongue, and they are very happy with this. And in this way, I think the Patra language is surviving gradually because because their language was going to be disappear from their community for the because you know that that the Patra children have to speak in Bengali when they go outside from their house, and gradually their language was disappearing. And through this process, through the SALT and CLCP process, they become to realize that they should preserve and promote their language. And through this process, they are gradually reviving this their language from extinction. So this is what I want to present here. And I think that SALT and CLCP process is very much important, particularly for the development of indigenous peoples, because all of the there are numerous problems in indigenous communities. All of these problems is not possible to solve only by the external funding. And that is why I think the SALT and CLCP process is very important for the development of the indigenous community peoples. And here just I want to share some comparison between service delivery approach and community-led approach. Here we are also taking initiative to revive Manipuri Language Center with external funding, and we have spent near about 5 lakh taka to teach Manipuri language for Manipuri children. But on the other hand, we have spent only 1,35,000 taka to teach Patra song for the Patra community peoples. Here, just I want to compare that through the community-led initiative, by a minimum cost, we can achieve very big things. And on the other hand, through service delivery approach, it needs lots of fun. So this is the main difference what I want to share here. So this is what I want to say that about the community-led and CLCP process. However, now I would like to request all of the participants to hear our talented Patra song from our talent Patra children. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Dada, for sharing such a wonderful story of how your Patra community is taking ownership and using creative method to learn their own language and revive this their mother tongue. So maybe this is a really short clip of how Patra children, they are singing singing in their mother tongue, and that's how they're learning their own language. So let's hear that, and then we'll move on to the next panelists.
Naning lahaling jana
Thank you. Thank you for playing that. So let's move on to the next panelist. So today with us, as I mentioned, we have two youth leaders joining from a village, a remote village in Bangladesh. So for their comfort, I'll be asking them question in Bangla. So please select your preferred language to listen to this part of this conversation. So Shravanti and তামিম, তোমাদেরকে শুভেচ্ছা জানাচ্ছি আমাদের সাথে জয়েন করার জন্য। আমি জানি যে বাংলাদেশে এখন অনেকটাই রাত, তারপরে তোমরা জয়েন করেছো। তোমাদের কাছ থেকে আমি জানতে চাচ্ছি যে তোমরা তোমাদের কমিউনিটিতে কি ধরনের কাজ করছো, আমাদেরকে যদি সেই গল্পটা বলো। আমরা জানি যে তোমাদের কমিউনিটি যমুনা নদীর তীরবর্তী অবস্থিত একটা কমিউনিটি, একটা ভিলেজ, যেখানে জলবায়ু পরিবর্তনের যে ভয়াবহতা, এটা দ্বারা তোমাদের কমিউনিটির শিকার হচ্ছে প্রতিনিয়ত, এবং তোমরা জলবায়ুর পরিবর্তনের যে প্রবলেম গুলা, সেগুলা দিয়ে প্রতিনিয়তই সম্মুখীন হচ্ছ। এবং আমি শুনেছি যে তোমরা অনেকগুলা পদক্ষেপ নিয়েছো তোমাদের গ্রুপ থেকে এই প্রবলেম গুলা সলভ করার জন্য। তো তোমরা যদি কুইকলি তোমাদের পরিচয় দিয়ে তোমাদের গল্পটা আমাদের সাথে শেয়ার করো, তাহলে খুবই ভালো লাগবে আমাদের জন্য।
হ্যালো এভরিওয়ান, আমি শ্রাবন্তী। আমি অনার্স প্রথম বর্ষের একজন শিক্ষার্থী। আমি সদস্য হিসেবে যুক্ত আছি যমুনা নামে একটি কিশোর কিশোরী দলের সঙ্গে, যেখানে আমরা 11 জন তরুণ তরুণী মিলে আমাদের কমিউনিটির উন্নয়নে কাজ করে চলেছি।
সালামু আলাইকুম সবাইকে। আমি তামিম হাসান, মাগুরা পলিটেকনিক ইনস্টিটিউটের একজন শিক্ষার্থী। আমি বাংলাদেশ পেঁচাকুলা কমিউনিটির ইউথ টিম চলো এগিয়ে যায় একজন সদস্য।
আমাদের কমিউনিটি বেশ কিছু কারণে ঝুঁকিপূর্ণ, কারণ আমাদের পেঁচাকুলা কমিউনিটির পাশ দিয়ে পদ্মা এবং যমুনা নামে দুটি নদী প্রবাহিত হয়েছে, যার ফলে আমাদের মানে নদী নদী ভাঙনের শিকার হতে হয়। তাছাড়াও যেমন পাশ দিয়ে নদী বয়ে যাওয়ার কারণে নদী নদী ভাঙন ছাড়াও আরো জলবায়ু পরিবর্তনের কারণে আমাদের অনেক পরিবর্তন হচ্ছে। যেমন অতিবৃষ্টি হচ্ছে, অনেক সময় নদীর পানি বেড়ে যাচ্ছে। তাছাড়াও নদী খনন এবং নদী দখলের কারণে নানা রকম সমস্যায় পড়তে হচ্ছে। এই কারণে আমাদের কমিউনিটি ঝুঁকিপূর্ণ।
এখন আমি আপনাদের সাথে আমাদের কমিউনিটির একটি বিশেষ গল্প শেয়ার করব, যা শুধু আমাদের কমিউনিটিতে পরিবর্তন এনে দেয়নি, বাঁচিয়ে দিয়েছে অনেকগুলো প্রাণ। উদ্যোগের আমাদের কমিউনিটি, নেক্সট স্লাইড,
পূর্ববর্তী
পূর্বের স্লাইডটা দিবেন। এখন আমি আপনাদের সাথে আমাদের কমিউনিটির বিশেষ উদ্যোগের, নেক্সট স্লাইড,
নেক্সট
প্রবলেম নাই তামিম, তুমি বলতে পারো, গল্পটা বলতে পারো, স্লাইড যাক, নো প্রবলেম, তুমি বলো।
এখন আমি আপনাদের সাথে আমাদের কমিউনিটির বিশেষ উদ্যোগের একটি গল্প শেয়ার করব, যা শুধু আমাদের কমিউনিটিতে পরিবর্তন এনে দেয়নি, আমাদের কমিউনিটির বিশেষ কিছু প্রাণ বাঁচিয়ে দিয়েছে। আমাদের কমিউনিটি উদ্যোগ নেওয়ার আগে আমাদের কমিউনিটির অবস্থা ছিল খুবই ঝুঁকিপূর্ণ। আপনারা ইতিপূর্বে অবগত হয়েছেন যে আমাদের কমিউনিটিটি অবস্থিত খরস্রোতা যমুনা নদীর পাড়ে। যমুনা নদীর পাড়ে অবস্থিত হওয়ার কারণে এই নদীতে প্রতি বছরই প্রায় নানান বয়সের মানুষ মারা যাচ্ছে, যার মধ্যে বিশেষ করে সবচেয়ে বেশি মারা যাচ্ছে শিশুরা। কারণ শিশুরা হচ্ছে অবুঝ, তারা বুঝতে পারে না, নিজের অজান্তেই নদীর পাড়ে যায়। অসচেতনতার গার্জিয়ানদের অসচেতনতার কারণে তারা নদীতে ডুবে মারা যায়। এবং এর পাশাপাশি আমরা আরো দেখেছি 2025 সালেই আমাদের দুজন শিক্ষার্থী ভাই স্টুডেন্ট যারা নদীতে ডুবে মারা যায়। এবং অনেক নদীর পাড়ের এলাকা হওয়ায় আমাদের এখানে মাঝে মাঝেই নানান এলাকা থেকে বিভিন্ন পর্যটক ঘুরতে আসে, যারা ঝুঁকির মধ্যে থাকে, কারণ তারা শুধু ঘুরতে আসে, তারা নদী সম্পর্কে তেমন কোনো ধারণা রাখে না, তারা নৌকা নিয়ে ঘুরে বেড়ায়, তাদের জীবনও ঝুঁকির মধ্যে থাকে। তো এখান থেকেই আমাদের নানান চিন্তা ভাবনা আসে, আমরা কিভাবে এই সমস্যাগুলো সমাধান করতে পারি। আমরা এই সমস্যাগুলো সমাধান করার চিন্তা আমাদের মধ্যে আসলেও আমরা বাস্তবে রূপ দিতে পারছিলাম না। তখন আমরা সল্ট পদ্ধতিতে আমাদের ড্রিম তৈরি করি এবং আমরা নিজেদের সমমূল্যায়ন করি। এর ফলে আমরা বুঝতে পারি আমাদের পরিবর্তন আমরা নিজেরাই আনতে সক্ষম। এর পরিপ্রেক্ষিতে আমরা জনসচেতনতামূলক কিছু উদ্যোগ নেওয়ার চেষ্টা করি, যার মধ্যে সবচেয়ে উল্লেখযোগ্য হলো সকলকে পরিপূর্ণভাবে সাঁতার শেখানো। কারণ নদীবর্তী নদীর পাড়ের এলাকার মানুষ বা লোকজনের জন্য সাঁতার শেখাটা হচ্ছে সবচেয়ে বেশি গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। সেই জন্য আমরা এটার উপর বেশি গুরুত্ব পরে আমরা লক্ষ্য করি যে আমাদের কমিউনিটির এই নদীর নির্দিষ্ট স্থানে আমাদের কমিউনিটির সকল লোকজন গোসল সহ তাদের দৈনন্দিন যাবতীয় কাজ একটি নির্দিষ্ট স্থানেই পরিচালনা করে। তো আমরা সিদ্ধান্ত নেই যে সেখানে আমরা একটি সতর্কতামূলক বিলবোর্ড লাগাবো এবং এটাকে সামনে রেখে আমরা আমাদের কমিউনিটির অভিভাবকদের সাথে যোগাযোগ করি। তাদের কাছ থেকে কিছু আর্থিক অনুদান, পরামর্শ, আমাদের পরিশ্রম, আমাদের যুবকদের পরিশ্রম এবং নানা আলোচনার মাধ্যমে আমরা বিলবোর্ডটি স্থাপন করতে সক্ষম হই। এবং আমরা অভিভাবকদের বোঝানোর চেষ্টা করি যে যাদের যেহেতু বন্যাকালীন সময়ে অনেকের বাড়ির সামনে, একদম সামনে বাড়ির আঙিনাতে পানি চলে আসে, তখন শিশুরা সবসময় তারা তাদের শিশুদেরকে দেখে রাখতে পারে না সংসারের নানান কাজের কারণে, তখন শিশুরা অজান্তেই নদীতে পড়ে যায়, পানিতে পড়ে যায়। তো তাদেরকে আমরা পরামর্শ দিই এভাবে যে আপনারা আপনাদের বাড়ির পাশে অস্থায়ী একটি ঘের তৈরি করবেন, যাতে আপনাদের শিশুরা সহজে বাইরে যেতে না পারে আপনাদের অজান্তেই। এর ফলাফল হিসেবে আমরা লক্ষ্য করি আমাদের সবচেয়ে বড় সফলতা হলো আমরা উদ্যোগ গ্রহণ করার ফলে উদ্যোগ গ্রহণ করার পরে আর কোনো প্রাণহানির ঘটনা ঘটেনি। বাবা মা সচেতন হয়েছে, আহ, বাবা মা সচেতন হয়েছে, তাদের সন্তানদের সাঁতার শেখাচ্ছে। তারপরে আর আমাদের কমিউনিটির অভিভাবকগণ এখন নিশ্চিন্তে নির্দ্বিধায় তাদের সন্তান নিয়ে বসবাস করছে। ধন্যবাদ।
ধন্যবাদ তানু।
আমাদের
শ্রাবন্তী, তোমার যদি কোনো গল্প থাকে বলো।
আমরা যমুনা দল আমাদের কমিউনিটিতে বেশ কিছু পরিবর্তন এনেছি, তার মধ্যে একটি পরিবর্তনের গল্প আজ আপনাদের সাথে শেয়ার করছি। আমাদের কমিউনিটি যেহেতু যমুনা নদীর তীরে অবস্থিত, তাই বর্ষাকালে প্রায় জলাবদ্ধতা সৃষ্টি হয়। তাছাড়াও যখন বৃষ্টি নামে তখন জমাট বেঁধে জলাবদ্ধতা সৃষ্টি হয়। যদি একটানা 2 থেকে 3 দিন বৃষ্টি নামে তাহলে পানি সেইখানে জমাট বেঁধে প্রায় 30 থেকে 40টি বাড়ি পানিবন্দী হয়ে যায়। পানিবন্দী হয়ে যাওয়ার কারণে তাদের চলাফেরা এবং বাচ্চাদের হাঁটা চলা করা, খেলাধুলা করা কিংবা বাইরে যাওয়া মানে একটা সমস্যার সম্মুখীন হতে হয়। এই পানি যখন 2 থেকে 3 দিন আটকা পড়ে যায় তখন এই পানিতে জন্ম নেয় মশা এবং মাছি। সেইখান থেকে সৃষ্টি হয় অনেক লোকের মানে ডেঙ্গু হয় আমাদের এলাকায়। এর ফলে 10 জনের ডেঙ্গু হয়, যার মধ্যে 6 জন ছিল বড় এবং 4 জন ছিল ছোট। তার মধ্যে আমার ফ্যামিলিতে 2 জনের ডেঙ্গু হয়। এর কারণে তাদের হসপিটাল বাবদ মানে প্রায় 20,000 টাকার মতো খরচ হয়। তাছাড়াও যখন ওই পানিতে বাচ্চারা হাঁটা চলাফেরা করে, পানি একটু অল্প হয় মানে খেলাধুলা করে, তখন তাদের পায়ে ঘা এবং নানা সমস্যা সৃষ্টি হয়। এবং পানি কিছুদিন স্থায়ী হলে সেখানকার পানি দিয়ে একটা দুর্গন্ধ বের হয় যা পরিবেশের জন্য ক্ষতিকর। তো এই সময় ব্রেডের ভাইয়া আপুরা আমাদের কাছে আসেন। গ্লোবাল ফান্ড ফর চিলড্রেনের সহযোগিতায় ব্রেড আমাদের এলাকায় যাত্রা শুরু করে, যাদের মূল লক্ষ্য হচ্ছে মানুষের ভেতরের শক্তিকে বের করে নিজেদের কাজ নিজেদের করার প্রতি আগ্রহ সৃষ্টি করা। তাদের অনুপ্রেরণায় আমরা যমুনা নামে একটি দল গঠন করি এবং সবাই মিলে বসি যে কিভাবে এটার সমাধান করা যায়। তো তখন আমরা সবাই মিলে একটা ব্যবস্থা নেই, যদি আমরা পানি সেচ মেশিন দিয়ে অন্য জায়গা ফেলতে পারি বা নদীতে ফেলতে পারি তাহলে এই জায়গাটা সমাধান মানে সমস্যার সমাধান হবে। তো তখন আমরা এই পরিকল্পনা করে তখন গ্রামের এক বৃদ্ধ মানে বয়স্ক চাচার সাথে কথা বলি যাতে আমাদের এই কাজটা সহজ হয়। তো সহজতায় আমরা সব বাড়িতে যাই যে বলি যে এইভাবে আমরা পানিটা নিষ্কাশন করতে পারি। তো আমরা তখন মেশিন নিয়ে এসে পানি সেচে আমাদের 2,000 টাকা খরচ হয়, সেটা আমরা সবার বাড়ি থেকে তুলি, যার যত সামর্থ্য আছে সেই অনুযায়ী দেয়। তখন জায়গাটা পরিষ্কার হয় এবং পানি মানে শুকে যায়। কিন্তু আমরা একটা জিনিস লক্ষ্য করলাম যে 2 থেকে 3 দিন পর আবার বৃষ্টি নামলো। তো তখন পানি আগে যে অবস্থায় ছিল সেই অবস্থা হয়ে গেল। তো তখন আমরা দেখলাম যে মাসে যদি এইভাবে 2 থেকে 3 বার বৃষ্টি নামে তাহলে তো বারবার পানি সেচার সমস্যা হয়ে যাবে। তো তখন আমরা সিদ্ধান্ত নিলাম আমাদের একটা পার্মানেন্ট সলিউশন করতে হবে। তখন আমরা পুনরায় ব্রেডের ভাই আপুদের সাথে বসি এবং সল্ট পদ্ধতিতে আমাদের স্বপ্নটাকে খুঁজে বের করি যে কিভাবে মানে এটা পার্মানেন্ট সলিউশন করা সম্ভব হবে। তো তখন আমরা সিদ্ধান্ত নেই আমরা যদি পাইপের ব্যবস্থা করে নদীর সাথে লাইন করি তাহলে যখন বৃষ্টি নামবে তখন পানিটা সরাসরি নদীতে চলে যাবে। তো এরকম আর কোনো সমস্যা হবে না। তো তখন আমরা মানে ওই পাইপ আনতে আমাদের মোট 12,000 টাকা খরচ হয়। সেই টাকাটা আমরা সবাই মিলে আবার ওই চাচাকে সঙ্গে নিয়ে সবার ফ্যামিলিতে যাই এবং বলি যে পানির কারণে তো এই সমস্যা হচ্ছে, যেমন ডেঙ্গু, বাচ্চাদের চুলকানি, আবার পানিতে ডুবে যাওয়ার সম্ভাবনা থাকছে। যদি আপনারা এবার আমাদের টাকা দেন তাহলে আমরা এই সমস্যাটা সমাধান করতে পারি, আর কোনো সমস্যা হবে না ভবিষ্যতে। তো তারা আমাদের কথা বোঝে এবং তারা আমাদের তাদের সাধ্যমতো সাহায্য করে। তখন আমরা মানে পাইপ লাগে নদীর সাথে কানেক্ট করি। এখন বৃষ্টি হলে স্বয়ংক্রিয়ভাবে পানি মানে নদীতে যে পড়ে, সেখানে আর জলাবদ্ধতার সৃষ্টি হয় না। তাছাড়াও আর কারো কোনো সমস্যা হয় না। এখন সবাই সুস্থ আছে। এবছর যথেষ্ট পরিমাণ বৃষ্টি হওয়া সত্ত্বেও সব কিছু ভালো আছে। এটাই ছিল আমাদের টিমের একটি গল্প। এটা সবাইকে শোনার
জি,
জন্য ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে।
ধন্যবাদ ধন্যবাদ তামিম এবং শ্রাবন্তী। তো আমাদের যেহেতু সময় কম, কুইকলি যদি তোমরা একবারে বলো যে তোমাদের এই প্রবলেমগুলো তো আগে থেকে ছিল, হ্যাঁ, তো তোমরা আগে কেন এই পরিবর্তনের জন্য কাজ করো নাই? তোমাদের এখন যে তোমরা ইনিশিয়েটিভটা নিচ্ছ বা যে উদ্যোগগুলো নিচ্ছ, এটার পেছনে তোমাদের ইন্সপাইরেশন কি বা তোমাদের মোটিভেশন, অনুপ্রেরণা কি? এবং তোমাদের কমিউনিটির বড়রা, তাদের দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি তোমাদের সম্পর্কে এখন কেমন হয়েছে? তারা কি বলছে তোমাদের সম্পর্কে? যদি কুইকলি বলো আমাদেরকে।
পূর্বে আমাদের উদ্যোগ না নেওয়ার পিছনে সবচেয়ে গুরুত্বপূর্ণ যে বিষয়টা ছিল সেটা হলো আমাদের আত্মবিশ্বাসের অভাব। আহ, আত্মবিশ্বাসের অভাব আমাদেরকে এই কাজগুলো করতে দেয়নি। এর পাশাপাশি আমাদের নিজেদের মধ্যেকার দূরত্ব, আমরা একে অপরের সাথে কানেক্টেড ছিলাম না, একে অপরের প্রতি আস্থাশীল ছিলাম না, একে অপরের মতামতকে সম্মান দিতাম না। আহ, আমরা আরো একটা সমস্যা ছিল, আমরা আমাদের কমিউনিটিতে ছোট হওয়ার কারণে বয়সে আমাদের কথার খুব একটা বেশি মূল্যায়ন করা হতো না। এটা একটা সমস্যা ছিল। আবার মাঝে মাঝে আমাদের কিছু করার চিন্তা ভাবনা থাকলেও আমাদের মাঝে দায়িত্ববোধ ছিল না, আমরা এটা করব কিনা, আমরা দ্বিধাদ্বন্দ্বে ভুগতাম, আমাদের সিদ্ধান্ত নেওয়ার ক্ষমতা ছিল না। যখন ব্রেডের ভাই আর আপুরা জিএফসি এর সহযোগিতায় আমাদের কমিউনিটিতে সল্ট শুরু করে, তখন আমরা আস্তে আস্তে নিজের সক্ষমতা বুঝতে থাকি। আমরা নিজের আত্মবিশ্বাসী হই, আমাদের নিজেদের মাঝে সিদ্ধান্ত গ্রহণ করার ক্ষমতা পাই। আহ, বিশ্বাস করতে শিখিয়েছে এবং শেখাচ্ছে। এবং একে অপরের এই ব্রেডের মাধ্যমে আমরা একে অপরকে এবং একে অপরের মতামতের প্রতি শ্রদ্ধাশীল, একে অপরের মতামত শুনে কাজ করার সাহসিকতা বেড়েছে, আমাদের সিদ্ধান্ত নেওয়ার ক্ষমতা বেড়েছে। এর ফলে আমরা আমাদের এই উদ্যোগগুলোকে বাস্তবে রূপ দিতে পেরেছি।
এখন মানে আমাদের কমিউনিটির দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি আমাদের দিকে মানে অনেক পরিবর্তন হয়েছে। যেমন আগে তারা আমাদের সেরকম গুরুত্ব দিত না, ভাবতো তোমরা ছোট, তোমরা পারবে না। তো আমরা তাদের এই কথার কারণে আমরাও সাহস পেতাম না। আমরা ভাবতাম হ্যাঁ আমরা ছোট। কিন্তু ব্রেডের সাথে যুক্ত হতে পেরে তারা, ব্রেডের ভাই আপুরা আমাদের যেভাবে আত্মবিশ্বাস জুগিয়েছে যে তোমরা পারবে, সেখান থেকে আমরা উৎসাহ মানে পেয়েছি। তাছাড়াও তারা আমাদের নলেজ ফেয়ার এবং আরো বড় বড় মানে জায়গায় অনুষ্ঠানে নিয়ে গিয়েছে, অনেকের গল্প শুনিয়েছে যে অনেক কমিউনিটির। তাছাড়া দেশের বাইরের লোকদের সাথে আমাদের যোগাযোগ করিয়ে তাদের গল্প শুনিয়েছে। সেখান থেকে আমরা ইন্সপায়ার হয়ে আমরা ছোট ছোট উদ্যোগ নেওয়া শুরু করি। যেমন বাজার পরিষ্কার রাখার জন্য ডাস্টবিনের ব্যবহার করি এবং বাড়িতে গাছপালা রোপণ করা। তাছাড়াও রাস্তাঘাট মেরামত, বাচ্চাদের পড়ালেখা শেখানো বা বৃদ্ধদের বয়স্কদের মোবাইল চালানো শেখানো, এই উদ্যোগগুলো নেওয়া শুরু করি এবং এগুলো করি। এগুলো করার
কমিউনিটি,
পরিবর্তে
শ্রাবন্তী, তোমার
মানে
কমিউনিটি
বড়রা
তোমাকে কি, সরি তোমাকে থামালাম, তোমাদের কমিউনিটির দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি পরিবর্তন হয়েছে কি তোমাদের সম্পর্কে? এটা যদি একটু কুইকলি বলো, কারণ তোমাদের গল্প তো শুনলাম আমরা। কমিউনিটির দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি পরিবর্তন হয়েছে কিনা এটা যদি একটু আমাদেরকে সংক্ষেপে বলো, তারপরে আমরা তোমাদের থেকে আমরা পরে প্যানেলিস্টে যাবো।
আমাদের কমিউনিটি আগে তরুণদের সেরকম উৎসাহ দিত না, কিন্তু যখন দেখলো আমরা নিজেরা ছোট ছোট উদ্যোগ নেওয়া শুরু করলাম, যেরকম এই ডাস্টবিন মানে বসানো, তারপরে পানির লাইনের ব্যবস্থা করা, রাস্তা মেরামত করা, এগুলো দেখে তারা বুঝতে পারলো যে হ্যাঁ তরুণদের মধ্যেও অনেক সাহস আছে, তারা অনেক কিছু করতে পারে। তো এইখান থেকে তাদের মধ্যে একটা মানে আমাদের প্রতি মানে সাহস জোগালো যে হ্যাঁ ওরাও তো অনেক কিছু করতে পারে। তো এখন কোনো সমস্যা হলে তারা নিজেরাই আমাদের ডাকে, তারা বলে তোমাদের মতামতগুলো আমাদের সাথে শেয়ার করো। এখন আমরা তাদের সাথে শেয়ার করে সামনের দিকে এগিয়ে চলেছি এবং আমাদের পরিবারের সবাই এখন আমাদের সাপোর্ট করে। তো আমি মনে করি ব্রেডের সাথে এই কাজগুলো করতে পেরে আমরা বড়দের সাথেও নিজেদের কানেক্ট করতে পেরেছি। ধন্যবাদ।
ধন্যবাদ শ্রাবন্তী এবং ইয়ামিন, তামিম, তোমাদেরকে আমাদের সাথে যুক্ত হওয়ার জন্য। So thank you very much. Let's move ahead to the next panelist. Sorry, we don't have much time left, but Carol, quickly, if you can, let us know about, as you being one of our funders, what do you think your reflection on what does it take for funders to truly shift power to communities? I mean, what mindset and or practical changes make it possible? If you can share a little bit on that.
Yes, thank you so much, Nawaz, and thank you to all of the amazing speakers that came before. This has been such a beautiful event, so rich in learning, and I think really just demonstrates the impact that ARC and the SALT methodology in particular has on really living that community-led change. So yeah, such a pleasure to be here. My name is Carol Murithi. I'm with the Pathy Family Foundation. We've been working with Global Fund for Children for over 10 years now and supporting ARC since, I believe, 2018 in India and Nepal. And yeah, it's really a privilege to work in partnership with Global Fund for Children. We've learned so much from the partnership, and Global Fund for Children has been so generous in terms of sharing learnings with us, particularly as we're a foundation that is based in Canada, and we really rely on our partnerships in order to kind of have the impact that we want, which I think has been demonstrated by all of the speakers who came before. In terms of the question, this is something that I think our team thinks and talks a lot about. And when it comes to kind of those beliefs and mindsets that you mentioned, I think we're still unlearning and kind of healing from the colonial roots of the sector. And so really shifting our mindsets around the different roles that people have in the different parts of the world. So thinking about, the global majority, those in the global south, not being passive recipients of aid, but actually the experts and the people who know the solutions, right? They're the experts of their own realities. And we've seen that from what we heard today. And it's been great to see in the chat as well, participants, people in the community who are sharing the changes and the impact that this kind of approach has had when we do shift that mindset. I think we're also trying to shift away from this idea of like the savior mentality to real authentic partnership. So, really thinking about what are our roles as funders to support in creating the conditions where leadership can really thrive, and that's very much, defined by the communities. So again, really thinking about deep partnership and providing the kind of resources in a monetary way is just a part of the pie. I think it was really beautiful to see earlier the ways in which communities also provide resources, right? And it can even be funding too, like one of the partners in India was sharing how they've been able to pool together funding from elders in their community who actually use their pension to hold a kind of football village tournament and brought villages across, different villages coming together and had an amazing turnout. And so I think it's also shifting that mentality that kind of philanthropy exists outside of the communities when it actually very much exists within the communities. And we can partner in ways that really center that. I also think there's maybe a shift in terms of the way we think about measuring impact and really looking at sort of meaning over measurement. So I think sometimes what can happen is funders will bring their own ideas of what success will look like. And oftentimes that's not successful because it's not created and owned by the community. So I think really ensuring that indicators of success are defined by the community. And I think Global Fund for Children and your partners do such a great job of this because as we heard, it really starts with, okay, like where do you want to go? What is it that you want to do? And then also being able to provide frameworks and methodologies that really support the co-creation of metrics and demonstrations of success, and also the emphasis on storytelling as well. So I think we heard, about theater being used, we heard singing, and these are really, really powerful ways to demonstrate impact. And I think that also that kind of relationship is really key. Having numbers and data does not necessarily show that there is long-term sustainable change. And so the relationships being really important in that too. I'll say too that capacity strengthening and that piece is also an interesting one. And I think as funders, we often think that we're providing at least the resources for capacity strengthening, but actually I think it's a two-way street. And so really shifting our mindset so that we see our partners as really leaders in strengthening our capacity, because we learn so much from the communities, we learn so much from our partners, and that should and is integrated into the way we then design how we work, right? So I think that's a key part. And then just like really practically, so practices, I think flexible funding, providing unrestricted multi-year support, ensuring communities are involved in how to kind of best allocate those resources, ensuring community-led decision-making, making sure that the community is, part of grant design, part of selection, part of evaluation processes, not just as advisors, but as actual co-decision makers, making the processes really simple. So thinking about reporting, ensuring that, it's accessible, that you can simplify language, use language that people feel most comfortable, send videos, audios, whatever it might be. And then I think being really really intentional about investment. So actually investing in relationships, visiting, listening, having dialogue, being available, investing in strengthening ecosystems. So I think Global Fund for Children and ARC, the cohort-based model is such a brilliant strength, because it really enables cohorts to share across borders as well as within countries. There's so much mutual learning, and we heard about that from some of the speakers before. And then I'd also say that as funders to shift power, I think we need to work better together. I think we talk a lot about how important it is that organizations are collaborating, but we could do a better job collaborating as well. I think our partnership with Global Fund for Children is a great way that we are able to do that, because we could not have the impact that the grant has had without the kind of capacity, the mechanisms, the relationships that GFC has. And also being part of funder networks and working with other like-minded funders around kind of decolonizing philanthropy and ways to do this. So yeah, and then lastly, influencing each other. I think I saw somewhere in the chat that it can be very difficult as mainstream funding is not necessarily completely bought into this. And so, as funders, being able to speak to other funders in our networks and advocate for a true kind of power shifting approach. There's also trainings people can do. So 1,000 Currents does a really great kind of funder education program too. And lastly, I'll say convening. So spaces like this, I think, are really powerful to see the impact. So yeah, I'll end there, but just so much gratitude for Global Fund for Children. I think that through the ARC program, we really see how you are addressing power dynamics that exist in granting relationships and supporting local partners in really meaningful ways. And I'm really blown away by the stories that I've heard today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol, for those wonderful reflection. And I'd like to thank all our panelists for their powerful stories. We are running over time, so maybe you can take a couple of questions, maybe go to the next slide, and we can stay maybe a couple of more minutes. If you have any question, please write to us. At the bottom of your Zoom screen, you can see Q&A button. You can write your question there and click send button. That's how we can have your question, and I'll direct those questions to our panelists. So once we're having the question from the participants, maybe I can ask panelists how how are you feeling now after sharing your stories? Maybe one of you can, if you can, please share how did it how was that like when you shared your story? Uh, I'd love to hear from one of our panelists. Anuradha ji, yes.
Yeah,
How
like
was that
while
for you, sharing your story?
while sharing my story, sharing the story what Avni works here, I felt so like connected with everyone because I saw the responses also, and I thought what we learned that needs to be shared with the whole team, and I could see that very positive waves from all the people who joined, and felt very peaceful and very energetic, to pass on the experiences and insights to the whole team, and felt like uh, getting connected with everyone. That that's what feeling I had.
You, Didi, I can see one question in the chat about salt. So what does this stimulate mean? Stimulate is the first point of that salt. So if any of you are comfortable, please share on that. Like what does stimulate mean? Or what is the starting point of salt?
Yeah, can I talk or anyone would like to say?
Yeah, Didi, if you want to share, you can share and others can also jump in.
Yeah, those who want to jump in, they can do it. No problem.
Yes. Sadia, do you want to share on this?
Didi, you can go first, and if needed, I will add.
Okay. So, stimulate means like, when you work with people, first you have to um, encourage or let the people talk out, listen to them, you know. Stimulating is listening to them, and it's a psychological process, making people realize what power, what energy that person has, what that person might have done best, or what he or she is proud of, what the strength person has. So, in order to generate that, because the stimulation is very important, and in salt, stimulation is the first process where person, like yesterday, I took the salt with my staff, and many said that we were never that open up with anyone. So, stimulate is making person to come out what he or she has the strength, generating that type of discussion and making person see what the strength that person has, what the energy, what the positiveness that person has. That's what I understood, and that's what I experienced out of this process. If anyone can add, those who are more experts.
Yes, thank you, Anuradha ji. Anyone want to add to what Anuradha ji shared? Yes, Sadia.
Yeah, I will add with Anuradha ji that we not only listen, we also appreciate so that they can also like feel that they are being heard, because in community they feel that they have no stories to tell because nobody asked them, never asked them that please tell your story. So initially the community, I had the experience, I listened from our facilitators, when they ask that what are you proud of, what is your strength, and they initially used to say that we don't have any story. So after lots of facilitations and simple questions, they started to open up, and then finally they when they open up and they start to tell their stories, and through this story they realize that yes, this is our strength, and they realize that yes, this they start to believe that yes, we can do that. So we have heard lots of stories, the shift that yes, we can do that, but initially they didn't have the awareness or they were not informed about their strength. So actually, it's basically not only stimulate, it's actually listen and appreciate. And through the listening and appreciating, they being stimulated and they feel powerful and they feel heard. And that's how they gain they feel their power, they feel their energy, and they feel confident to take the ownership. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadia. So considering the time, maybe we'll take one more question. I can see that someone is asking about the role of GFC in organizational development and personal growth. So anyone can reflect to this question. I think Sadia, you shared a little bit on this. If you want to jump, if you want to kind of respond to this, role of GFC in organizational development and personal growth.
Okay, so I also shared in my presentation that I never had such kind of experience to work in such cohort. Like GFC, we work very closely. Like initially in traditional grant, those who make the grant, they just occasionally send mail that please send your report or send your financial report, or they occasionally very occasionally they sit with the meeting, and probably you don't get enough opportunity to talk with them or share your stories. But in terms of GFC, we work very closely, we work hands in hands, we sit in a meeting very regularly, not in a meeting, it's a reflection that how we are feeling working in the community as well as in the cohort level, organizational level, and even if I have experiencing any shift within myself and around myself as well. So the experience being very special for me, because it's not only shifted our perspective, the way of working, it also shifted that how we are, you know, embracing everyone around us within our organization, within our cohort. So the experience is really different and special to me. Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. Considering the time, I think we can't take any more questions. If you have any further questions, please write to us. And the stories that our panelists shared, I think, if that is, I hope that the stories were inspiring and helpful for you. If you are interested to meet some of our partners, there is a visit we have planned in next year, February. Please refer to the chat. There is a link where you can click and share your interest to join that visit. So on that note, we want to say thank you everyone for joining once again, and I want to thank panelists for joining. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all. Yes.